Hot pizza coming through, hot pizza. Got to get the police officer their pizza.
If you've seen our Little Caesars videos, you'll know that Domino's is the second largest pizza chain in the United States. Domino's has undergone some seismic changes in the past few years, from overhauling their menu to basically tearing down and rebuilding a whole bunch of their restaurants. So let's dive into the world of pizza yet again to find the top 10 untold truths of Domino's pizza.
Sweet and salty.
Domino's held a contest to find the world's fastest pizza maker.
Just whatever the fastest pizza you can make is. I got raw pizza, that's pretty fast.
In May of this year, Domino's held a contest in Mandalay Bay and Las Vegas to find the world's fastest pizza maker. The contest was held in front of over 9,000 people and was offering $3,000 in prize money, a trophy, and the title of the world's fastest pizza maker, which was presented by Domino's president and CEO Patrick Doyle. The winner ended up being a man named Werner Lomker, who actually owns a Domino's franchise in Canada. Lomker finished 3 pizzas in 57 seconds, an average of 19 seconds per pizza. And of winning the $3,000 or $5,000 Canadian, Lomker said that it was amazing and that he felt fortunate to bring an honor like this home to Canada for the first time. Outside of the victory over America in the War of 1812, this has to be up there for all Canadians, who will now add a beaver-eating pizza to all their money. Liking this video so far? Hit that subscribe button and ding that bell to join our notification squad.
Oh man, join the club.
If you ate a different pizza a day at Domino's,
I love pizza.
if you were to eat one different combination of ingredients and/or toppings that Domino's offers every day, from a pepperoni to a cheese or a half cheese and half pepperoni, so on and so forth, Domino's has calculated that you'd have to eat a different pizza every day for over 34 million days before you ran out of combos.
The limit does not exist. The limit does not exist.
That means that you'd have to live for over 93,000 years, which would mean that perhaps pizza is the fountain of youth. Domino's prides itself on its ingredients, especially as of late, and because of that, there are a ton of different ingredients that you can use to customize any pizza you'd like. Beyond that, the menu itself has mostly been changed from what it was before the year 2008, as about 70% of their menu in the last 10 years is new. Let's just hope they stop adding ingredients, as expecting us to push it to 100,000 years is borderline unreasonable, although deliciously unreasonable, which, let's be honest, is the best type of unreasonable.
I'm not the one who's being unreasonable, Pico.
Domino's is actually larger than Pizza Hut globally.
Pizza the Hut.
If you haven't noticed, we love discussing pizza around here. And because of that, we, like a lot of our subscribers, are aware that Pizza Hut is the largest retail pizza chain in the United States. However, and surprisingly, Domino's is actually the largest pizza chain in the world, based on gross sales, as it overtook Pizza Hut in February of this year when they released their fourth quarter earnings from the, fourth quarter of 2017. Pizza Hut still has more locations than Domino's, but the blame for the lagging sales at Pizza Hut falls on Yum Brands, which also owns KFC and Taco Bell and is a subsidiary of PepsiCo. The reason for Domino's newfound dominance? An emphasis on how people actually order pizza these days, which is via their cell phones. Thus, Domino's didn't stop their overhaul by just fixing up the physical locations they had, but in also how they sell their pizza online and via their app. CEO Patrick Doyle claimed that over 60% of their orders come from the digital realm, a number that's sure to increase, which should help Domino's cement their new title as the largest pizza chain in the world.
Little neighborhood joint called Domino's.
Domino's?
Domino's were responsible for the 30-minute or less idea.
Whoa. That was fast. I know.
Those few wonderful people out there who chronicle things like the so-called pizza wars of the 80s and 90s point to one moment as the first shots fired moment of those wars. And most agree that it came from none other than Domino's Pizza, who back in 1973 started to offer a deal that if the pizza didn't arrive within 30 minutes of the time that the order was placed, the customer would receive a free pizza, something that turned out to be just $3 off their order in 1983. The 30 minutes or less guarantee that many older millennials remember fondly from their childhoods changed Domino's fortunes and became the industry standard before long. Many of us remember the Noid talking about that guarantee, but it was actually abandoned, much like the Noid himself, in the early 90s. There's actually an article about this on Snopes.com that discusses the urban myth that Domino's dropped their guarantee after a delivery driver who was desperate to make it in under 30 minutes accidentally hit and killed a small child. That story isn't true.
That's not true.
But it's also not super far off the rationale behind the reason that Domino's ended the guarantee. In 1993, after multiple lawsuits involving their delivery drivers who got into accidents while speeding to a delivery, which did cause some deaths, Domino's ended their guarantee and executed the Noid via lethal injection. His last meal? Pizza Hut.
Was it nice?
Yeah, it was alright. You know, it was Pizza Hut.
Speaking of the Noid,
What was all the commotion?
Oh, nothing. It was just...
Outside perhaps the Energizer Bunny, there is no more identifiable and objectively terrifying company mascot from the 80s and 90s than Domino's Pizza's the Noid. If you weren't alive back then, it's sort of hard to explain what the Noid was, or why he was chosen to represent a pizza chain. The Noid was a human, we think, that rocked a skin-tight red suit with bunny ears with a black N inscribed in a white circle. The rationale behind his creation was that he was the manifestation of all the challenges inherent in getting a pizza delivered in 30 minutes or less. So he represents an existential idea then? Yeah, no wonder he didn't last long. Obviously, after the controversy that surrounded the accidents and deaths linked to the 30-minute guarantee, Noid became emblematic of the problem. Talk about unexpected consequences. Speaking of that, there was a man named Kenneth Lamar Noid who was mentally ill and thought that the commercials were made to mock him. He ended up holding 2 employees of an Atlanta Domino's hostage for over 5 hours in January of 1989, forcing them to make him a special pizza and a salad, demanding $100,000, getaway transportation, and a copy of the book The Widow's Son. He eventually released his hostages and was arrested, with Atlanta's police chief Reed Miller telling reporters of the arrest, and we're not kidding here, he's paranoid. Wow, meta.
That'd be totally meta.
The Domino's logo.
We've got a great name, we've got a great team, we've got a great logo, and we've got a great name.
If you've seen our other videos about fast food restaurants, there's typically one constant that binds all fast food joints, and that is that they clearly have spent a lot of time, energy, and money not only coming up with a logo or hiring multiple ad agencies to do the same, but also market testing that logo to ensure they're getting the best representation of what the company does or is about, and that people will respond positively to it in terms of its colors, its shapes, etc., both on a conscious and subconscious level. Beyond that though, a lot of these logos like to hide little things in plain sight. For example, Little Caesar's Toga Man's toga has little tiny L's and C's at the bottom of it to represent the words low calorie. No, just kidding, obviously it stands for Little Caesar's. Domino's logo is no different, as the iconic logo has a red domino in front of a blue background. That domino always has 3 dots on it, with one side of the domino having 1 and the other side having 2. Those numbers aren't a coincidence, as they actually represent the number of stores they had at the time they created their logo. The plan was to add a dot every time they opened a new store, but there's really no domino that has tens of thousands of dots on it. I mean, yet.
Just do it! Make your dreams come true!
Domino's used to be called DomiNick's.
You changed your name?
Yes, I did. Meet Princess Consuela Banana Hammock.
Domino's was founded by 2 brothers, James and Tom Monaghan, back in 1960. Unlike a lot of fast food founders that we've covered, or just in general, the brothers Monaghan didn't start their business from scratch by starting a hamburger, hot dog, or orange juice stand, as was the case for McDonald's, Taco Bell, and Orange Julius, respectively. Or even by inventing a new type of food accidentally by smashing a meatball with their spatula out of frustration and putting it between a piece of bread like the founder of White Castle, who's objectively a hero that should be respected on the same level as people like Albert Einstein. The Monahans actually purchased their first pizza joint back in 1960. The restaurant was in Ypsilanti, Michigan, and was named DomiNick's. To essentially rebrand the store while simultaneously respecting the past and promising and implying a new and different future, the brothers renamed that location Domino's in 1965, the same year they started franchising their particular brand of pizza. The real question then becomes, who was Nick? Actually, the previous owner was named Dominic, so, mystery solved. The Monahans paid Dominic, whose last name was DeVarty, $500 up front and then $900 more to seal the deal. Considering Domino's is a billion-dollar business today, I think that gamble paid off pretty well for them.
The gamble has paid off.
Domino's delivers a lot of pizza.
What's this?
Leave.
Unlike some of their competition like Little Caesars or Papa Murphy's, Domino's is all about delivering pizza. They actually are credited as the first restaurant to do so, something they started the same year they took over DomiNick's in 1960. Food delivery wasn't a foreign concept to Americans, and the idea of delivering pizza back in its native Italy wasn't either, as certain chefs used to deliver pizza to the royal family of Italy as far back as the late 1800s. Domino's thus could be considered the delivery king, especially as they were also the first to do the 30 minutes or less promotion that turned into the 30 minutes or you get $3 off, and then into a ton of wrongful death lawsuits after drivers crashed their cars attempting to make it somewhere in that time frame because $3 was like $5 back in the 80s. You know what? Just go back and rewind the video a little bit. Anyways, Domino's hasn't stopped innovating the delivery business, as they recently rolled out a fleet of ovens on wheels across the United States that are actually cars that they developed to hold a driver and also an oven. Because of all that work, Domino's actually delivers over 2 million pizzas every single day. No wonder they're the new global pizza industry champion, as if those pizzas are on average $10, that means they're bringing in $20 million a day globally from their thousands of restaurants.
This is awesome.
The Domino's DXP.
Dog, you said you like pizza, so I put a pizza oven in your car.
Not one to rest on their laurels as the delivery king, Domino's is always looking for new ways to improve their delivery service and service in general. That thinking led them to roll out a fleet of what have been called Batmobiles for pizza, the Domino's DXP mobile oven. The DXP stands for Delivery Expert and is actually a heavily modified Chevrolet Spark. Speaking of Sparks, there's an oven in the back of the DXP that has space for up to 80 pizzas, as well as room for sides and a bunch of 2-liter bottles. There's only one seat in the DXP for the driver, and just like the Batmobile, the DXP can shine a light on the ground that projects the Domino's Pizza logo. The DXP was actually the result of a competition to find the best way to transport pizza in an oven, and while the original idea was for the DXPs to be self-driving by using Google's self-driving platform, that concept is still a few years away, and could end up just using drones to deliver pizzas to your home by flying high enough to avoid buildings and power lines, but low enough to avoid having to deal with the FAA. An oven that's flying 50 miles per hour and is controlled by a search engine's AI to deliver pizza to heavily populated areas? What could possibly go wrong?
Nothing can possibly go wrong.
Actually, it should be fine, as long as you don't live near an airport or a Pizza Hut.
All right, time to take flight, drone of Arcadia.
Bang zoom, straight to the moon.
Bang! Zoom! Straight to the moon.
Wow.
Earth's moon is approximately 238,000 miles from Earth. Apollo 8, which was the second manned spaceflight mission and became the first manned spacecraft to leave Earth's orbit on a trip to the moon in which they circled it and then returned home, took 69 hours and 8 minutes to reach the moon, which breaks down to about 3 days. Apollo 11, which was the
One small step for man.
one, took even longer, reaching the moon in 75 hours and 56 minutes before landing on it and sticking it to the Soviet Union. What does any of this have to do with pizza? Well, it turns out that Apollo 11 actually also had an oven in the back of its ship and that the astronauts survived by eating Domino's. Okay, we made that up.
Knew it.
Actually, we bring it up because on a weekly basis, Domino's delivery drivers drive enough miles or kilometers to collectively reach the moon 41 times. That means that the delivery drivers are covering over 9.3 million miles a week, and that's only in the United States. So, we can drop the kilometers part. Globally, they could probably reach the edge of the solar system. So next time NASA looks to reach a moon or planet, they should probably make sure that they've downloaded the Domino's app.
I lost my license. That's why I'm on the bus. I'm delivering pizzas.
How about saving a slice for us by hitting that subscribe button and notification bell? And don't go anywhere. Stick around to check out more great videos.